I've just gotten home from the hospital. This has been one hell of a week. I'm in total pain, and the doctor says it'll be about 6 weeks before I get this cast off my arm. But I don't care. I have to give my full accounting of the events that took place at Disneyland. So I work through the pain, typing away. This blog is my own personal account of the events that occurred at the Pirates of the Caribbean ride in Disneyland in Anaheim. I don't need to tell you most of what happened afterwards. You saw it on CNN or Fox News. Hell, even Alex Jones reported on it, although he probably attributes it to some sort of New World Order conspiracy. That would be a half-truth if it weren't for the fact that it was in fact caused by the Disney Corporation. After the Mowgli's Palace incident and after the revelations of Room Zero, I tried to blow the entire thing open, but Disney Corporation shut me down. However, it was way too late to put the genie back in the bottle. Other people have gotten involved. Other people who not only support me, but have horror stories of their own involving the Disney Corporation and their nasty little skeletons in the closet. Speaking of skeletons, perhaps you've heard of the real human bones that have been used in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride in Anaheim? Most of these skeletons were purchased by the Disney Corporation during the mid-60s to provide realistic skeletons for the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. There was, however, one particular set of skull and crossbones that were not donated by the UCLA Medical School. These are the ones that rest on the headboard of the Pirates of the Caribbean ride in the Captain's Den. The skull is stated to have belonged to a member of Disney's Imagineering team, a member who died in 1966. However, the only member of the Disney Imagineering team to have died in 1966, or to be more precise, December 15th, 1966, was a man by the name of Walter Elias Disney. That's right, Walt Disney himself. It's a matter of record that Disney had 2 funerals, one for everyone else, i.e. the public, and one for family, friends, and other colleagues. During the private ceremony, Disney's remains were actually cremated, and most of them were interred into the Forest Lawn Memorial Park in LA. But not all of them. There was one special request in a second will that he stated he would in fact be interred at Disneyland in Anaheim after his death. His skull, Walt Disney's skull, gleams at everyone who passes by it on that damned ride every single day, and nobody knows it's him. Very few even realize that it is in fact a human skull, let alone him. How can I make the statement that this is in fact Walt Disney's skull sitting on that headboard? Through something called forensic facial reconstruction. A man that I will call Doc actually saw one of my documents online before I was shut down by Disney Corporation. He made the effort to contact me directly. He posted several photos of Walt Disney before he died, with side-by-side comparisons of the photo on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride and a skull reconstruction based on mathematical equations attributed to hundreds of years' worth of forensic documentation. This is right around the time where the first incidents at Disneyland started occurring. The first such incident occurred when a janitor by the name of George actually slipped and drowned in the water of the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, surprisingly not too far from, yes, you guessed it, the headboard of Walt Disney himself. The next such incident occurred in 1974, where an 18-year-old girl was actually crushed between 2 slow-moving walls on the America Sings ride. She wasn't found for several hours when her gruesomely mangled and crushed body had been pulled. In August of '67, a 17-year-old was actually killed between 2 People Mover cars on the People Mover ride. In 1972, 4 teenage girls were riding the People Mover when one teenager lost her mouse ears cap. She was crushed by the ride. In August of '79, a 31-year-old woman actually became ill after riding the Space Mountain ride in Disneyland. She was taken to the hospital because she had collapsed right after. She died a few days later. Now, you could make the blanket statement that since there are millions of people that pass through the gates of Disney every year, that these would just be random odd chance incidents, but I don't buy it. Nothing like this ever occurred while Walt Disney was still alive. The park had been open a full 10 years before his death, and not a single thing like this ever happened. But afterwards, you have Room Zero, you have incident after incident after incident, then you have Mowgli's Palace, then you have Bay Lake, you have the Bahamas. I'm sorry, but I'm not buying it. All of these incidents started to emanate from the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, worked their way through the rest of Disneyland, out to Walt Disney World, Disney Tokyo, Disney Europe, Disney this, that, and the other. All of it. It's not a coincidence. They say it started with a mouse. No, it started with Disney's death. And I was going to find a way to stop it. So, there I was, just a couple of days later, in Anaheim, ready to enter the gates of Disney itself. I knew I was being followed, but I didn't care. These bastards thought they had the home team advantage. They were wrong. I had something that they hadn't had. A much larger army than they could ever muster at a moment's notice in one place. Have you ever heard of a flash mob? It's when one guy sends out a message to a bunch of other guys, who then sends that same message out to a bunch of other guys on Facebook, Twitter, or whatever other means that they have at their disposal at that moment to get a bunch of people together in one place at one time to cause one hell of a ruckus, or to do a dance number, or God knows any number of things. My plan was simple. Get enough people together at the same place at the same time. This way there could be no doubt and too many witnesses to simply silence. The hashtag Storm Disneyland was a very common sight for over 3 days, with over 50,000 likes and shares. There was a date, October 31st, a time, 10 a.m. Now you may ask yourself, why on Halloween? This is actually known as Samhain, or the season of the witch, the time when the veil between the world of the living and the world of the dead becomes a little bit thinner and more things are possible. I wanted one thing. The time had finally come, 10 a.m. There were 8,000 people outside the gates of Disneyland, way too many for the security guards and other guards at Disney to stop, too much of a human deluge of intent. It was too late. We were going through. And yes, I was still being followed, but not just by the suits. No, I was being followed by thousands of people, all with the same intent as my own. The problem with human intent is that if you get enough of it in one place at one time, strange things start to happen. I've just recently learned this term, tulpa. It means monster of one's own creation. We had the idea that whatever was going on with Disney Corporation was entirely bad, and when we had mixed in with the regular Disneyland crowd who had nothing but good intentions, families on vacation, just regular tourists, all of that intent mixed at the same time, and it was very powerful. Anger is in itself a very powerful force. I don't need to tell you that. You've probably seen it many times on the evening news. When enough people get together in one place, bad things can happen. But what happens when so much anger and so much spite gets together in one place that's supposedly built on magic? If you were there, you could feel it the second we entered the Pirates of the Caribbean ride by the hundreds, then eventually by the thousands. It wasn't just a ride, it was a nexus between here and there. It was at that moment that I had finally figured it out. It wasn't just Disney Corporation that had caused this. It was all of us that corrupted it. We created the magic ourselves. The irate residents of Emerald Isle around Mowgli's Palace, they created Photonegative Mickey. They were the intent behind the tulpa. The fear of the air raid at Walt Disney World back in the 70s, that created the Room Zero incident. That created another tulpa. That was the cause of the massacre at Room Zero. I had to warn them. I had to get all these people out of here, now. It was too late, though. Some jackass took a piece of wood and smashed the skull of Disney right there on the headboard. And then... First, some of the banter started to die down, then some murmuring, and eventually somebody in the back said, "Hey, look at the jackass in the funny Mickey suit." Then there were several screams of terror as the jackass in the funny Mickey suit started tearing into that first man who made the comment. That man stopped screaming the second that the corrupted Mickey ripped the man's head clean off his shoulders. There was a mad dash by everyone to get as far away from the corrupted creature as possible, even going down the tunnel into pitch blackness to avoid it and possibly escape. When this corrupted Mickey made eye contact with me, he knew I was personally responsible for bringing all of these people here, into his domain, into this nexus where he was created. He ran straight for me, avoiding everyone else. He just wanted me. The only way I could get out of here was through the end of the tunnel where everyone else was going. I knew everyone else was safe just so long as I was in danger. He wasn't going to bother with anyone else. Eventually, I saw the literal light at the end of the tunnel, and I was very grateful to get the hell out of there. Even if I wound up in the hands of the suits who had been pursuing me all this time, it would be a far better fate than if I were to wind up with this corrupted Mickey Mouse. The chase didn't end inside the tunnel, though. He pursued me outside in broad daylight in front of thousands of people. Witnesses, tourists, men, women, children, all impressionable, all gathered in one spot to witness this. It was going to get far worse. Seeing all these people outside, all these potential victims, gave me my second wind. I knew I had to stop this once and for all. I had to find something, anything to stop this monster. I don't know if you believe in God. I personally have had doubts myself in the past. But something told me, look left. And there it was. Could it be that simple? It was a Disney security golf cart with the key still in it running. Apparently the poor dipshit guard ran off as soon as he saw the monster. Chalk one up for the mouse police. I gunned it straight for the golf cart and threw it into gear. I tore ass as fast as I could, and then I turned around and aimed right for the creature. I know a golf cart moving at 25 miles an hour doesn't seem like much of an attempt at this point, but it was better than nothing. And given that I had managed to plow the monster into an adjacent wall, that made all the difference in the world. He wasn't quite dead, however, if you could ever call this thing living. One more time for good measure, I suppose, though. I threw it into reverse and then gunned it straight forward at the creature, once again trying to kill it. Unfortunately, I wasn't wearing a seatbelt at the time, and when I had finally made impact with the creature and then eventually the adjacent wall behind him once again, I went flying forward. The last thing I remember before I lost consciousness was looking into the face of the creature. He said,
"How dare you corrupt us?"
In the days that followed, long before I woke up in the hospital, hundreds of people had released videos from their smartphones showing first-hand accounts of the incident at Disneyland. I don't need to tell you that the cat, or should I say the mouse, was officially out of the bag. There was no way Disney Corporation could have covered up something of this magnitude. Not anymore. There was going to be hell to pay and questions to answer. And when I came to, there were plenty of questions for me to answer as well. Questions from the FBI, the Anaheim Police Department, hell, even a couple of the suits that had been following me since the Mowgli's Palace incident. The only real answer I could give, though, was that this thing was us. It was a corrupt us. It was our dreams, our fantasies, our nightmares, our rage, our fear, all combined into one entity, created in one split second of indecision. I don't know if I should take credit for destroying the creature or take the blame for creating it myself. If I could go back and stop the Twitters, if I could stop the Facebooks, if I could stop the incident from ever occurring, I would. But to know that this one incident stopped it once and for all, that everyone has been made aware. I think I can deal with that.